Let's begin with fundamental human rights, the rule of law, and national interest. At the annual general conference of the Nigerian Bar Association on Monday, the president, Muhammadu Buhari, was there and in his speech mentioned that the issue of national security would be placed above the rule of law. That is already drawing reactions from senior lawyers, different legal practitioners, and even the average Nigerians on the street. I have with me in the studio this morning two legal practitioners to critically examine this matter. I have Jide Ologun, a legal practitioner and PR expert. I also have Samuel Adeola, a human rights lawyer. Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you for being here.
Good morning.
All right. The president has mentioned that national security would be placed above the rule of law. What do you say, Samuel?
To me, I just want to say that the place where he said those things that he said happens to be our constituency, which I believe that, except they said there is no question and answer period within that confine, those lawyers that are talking outside, I don't believe that they meant what they are saying. If they interpolate the position and become either one of the defense or respondent lawyer to the government this thing. Why I said so was that the constitution is clear as to the right of each and every one, and the only snag in there is freedom of movement is when you are confined into prison based on conviction, not remand. And I just want to believe that why I said why didn't they ask him questions was that they should have asked on what premises would we characterize such national security.
I think an allusion was made to the case of Dasuki, Sambo Dasuki.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, I've addressed the issues of Malami at one point in time. Many people that are on my social media have listened to my response to what he said, that he was trying to extend the effect of the 2.1 billion naira meant for arms sale, which was used for political reasons, to mean that as a result of him spending such money not on what it was meant for, vicarious experience of that must lie on him. I don't see him becoming the judge to have inferred that.
All right, let's come
unless that is pronounced by the court. He cannot infer such and believe that because he believes there is a ripple effect of his actions for the fact that he did not use the money judiciously as it ought to be. So the ripple effect must have to be taken to mean that he has committed murder. Unless that is pronounced by the court, I don't think he has such a input to make.
In this case, the rule of law is that the roof covering the house, and you now have different rooms within the house, the sitting room and everywhere. What will even protect your fundamental human rights is respect for the rule of law. What will ensure national security is the respect for the rule of law. Perhaps the president shouldn't have used that blanket expression. All right. Of course, in some cases, if you think that the nation is threatened, you may withhold the person on the basis of his fundamental human rights, like in the case of Asari Dokubo and the federal government, as Supreme Court that people are making reference to. That was the height of the Niger Delta threat to Nigeria. But we are talking about the case of Dasuki now. The court has released him on bail. Let him go. Then you can pull him back. You see, and as we speak, if you expand that particular matter, some other accused persons are free. Some released on bail. Some not even beneficiaries of the same process. And the same applies to El Zazaki. But I think that of Dasuki. And people are suspecting that probably there is a vendetta. And even if you are going to hold them, then go to court. You can appeal. And like my colleague brilliantly mentioned, it's not proper for the Attorney General to come out. Are we now saying the judiciary is no longer relevant. And what happens is that we create an impression of an arbitrary approach to governance. And my own caution is that even if you have the power now to suspend the rule of law, so to say, it may work against you someday. The basic foundation of democracy is the predominance of the rule of law. And the moment we relegate it, I wonder what will happen. But I hope that this will also be amended in a way to ensure that we are not telling the world that we will not play by the rules. Because definitely, the moment you remove the roof from the house is exposed to different kinds of, attacks. And then some have said that perhaps it's the fault of the person that wrote the speech for the president, because what he meant to pass across could have been passed across without making reference to a blanket we should not even remove at all to start with. So I think that is the issue we have now. It may be the issue of expression, like when he was quoted to have said that Nigerian youth are lazy. He was actually making a reference to something that we should have paid attention to. That some people think the resources are on their land and they want free things from the government, making reference to the Niger Delta.
He was actually even referencing the North.
Exactly, so
the youth of the North,
but he was quoted for saying Nigerians are lazy. So in communication, what you are trying to put across is important in the realm of context and content and how you release it. So I think the media aides should have done more by presenting his message in a way that will not provoke the lawyers who invited him, who came to their constituency to tell them that the law that holds them together may be suspended for some. And let's just hope that this will be further, maybe there will be further clarifications from the presidency.
All right,
if
and
not,
indeed,
the impression of arbitrariness, which can only lead us to crisis, may be portrayed.
All right. Indeed, as you have mentioned, other lawyers, just like you have done today, have found fault with that statement, and some people are just trying to maybe allude to other instances as to what would have inspired the president to say that. Now, I'm wondering, could this cause some kind of friction between the executive and judicial arms of the government?
I don't think there should be any frictions between them.
Because if this kind of statement has been made already by the chief executive...
Yes, it doesn't, because it does not stop the work of the judiciary from passing their judgment and from making sure that the wounded got justice and the suspect or the culprit, get punishment.
But if you consider that there have been times where judgments have been delivered and those judgments have not been obeyed.
I think what I am looking at here is this. Like, the statement he made is within the context of what they call privileged information. Let us look at the case of Anambra State versus Okeke 2012. It's reported in Nigerian Weekly Law Report. The judgment, the land judges as at then said that weight and effect of declaring a law or some part of the constitution for that matter null and void, the court must find support from the same constitution or any other status of equal force. The pronouncement by the court below is that where national security is threatened and there is the real likelihood of it being threatened, human right and individual right of those responsible take second place. Human rights or individual right must be suspended until the national security can be protected or well taken care of. This is not anything new. The corporate existence of Nigeria as a united, harmonious, indivisible, indissoluble, sovereign nation is certain, greater than any citizen's liberty or right. Once the security of this nation is in jeopardy and it survives in pieces rather than in peace, the individual liberty or right may not even exist. Now let us take it juxtaposed with the Dasuki issue. Do we have this kind of situation in Dasuki? Because I can easily say that it may apply to the IPOB leader if were he to have been apprehended at that point in time. It could apply to him that his activities and actions and inaction within that region may tamper with the existing peace of the nation.
In the case of Dasuki, does it
But
apply?
in the case of the Dasuki, except that there is a privilege, what do you call it? Information and of national security that they have not been able to divulge to the public. But at the same time, in order to get the sympathy of the court, you must be able to present such, because such security, what have you, the veil must be removed for the court to know of a truth. There is a reason why you can keep him perpetually in the name of national interest or security. That is exactly what this judgment is saying, that it must be seen that the presence of that person outside the confine of security goons must be noticed, that it will bring into pieces not the peace of the nation. And in the case of Dasuki, I don't think that is in existence.